Hi all. We're gonna start learning the Arabic alphabets by the order of the position of articulation. The first letter we learn is ba.
باء باء.
How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. Fath, kasr, and dam.
با بي بو.
This is how we write ba at the beginning of the word, like this example.
بيت, which means house.
This is how we write ba at the middle of the word, like this example.
خبز, which means bread.
This is how we write ba at the end of the word, like this example. Kutub, which means books. Then we learn the letter fa. 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 How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. Fath, kasr, and dam.
فا
Fi.
فو.
This is how we write fa at the beginning of the word, like this example. Fil, which means elephant. And this is how we write fa at the middle of the word, like this example.
طفل, which means child.
And this is how we write fa at the end of the word, like this example. Sharif, which means noble. Hi all. We're going to learn two letters today that share the same articulation point. The first letter we learn is mim. Then we learn the letter waw. This is how we write it. Mim. Mim. How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. Fath, kasr, and dam.
ما
Mi.
مو.
This is how we write mim at the beginning of the word, like this example. Makan, which means place. This is how we write mim at the middle of the word, like this example.
تمر, which means dates.
This is how we write the letter mim at the end of the word, like this example. Ism, which means name. Let's see the next letter. This is how we write it. Wow. Wow. How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. Fath, kasr, and dam.
و
We.
وو.
This is how we write wow at the beginning of the word, like this example. Walad, which means boy. This is how we write wow at the middle of the word, like this example. Souq, which means market. This is how we write wow at the end of the word, like this example. Jaw, which means weather. Hi all. Today we're going to learn three letters that share the same articulation point. Tha, dhal, and dha.
ثاء
This is how we write it. ثاء. How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. فتح, كسر, and ضم. ثاء, ثي, ثو. This is how we write ثاء at the beginning of the word like this example. ثمن, which means cost. This is how we write ثاء at the middle of the word like this example. مثل, which means like. And this is how we write ثاء at the end of the word like this example. ثلث, which means 1/3. Let's see the next letter. ذال. This is how we write it. ذال. How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. فتح, كسر, and ضم. ذا, ذي, ذو. This is how we write ذال at the beginning of the word like this example. ذهب, which means gold. This is how we write ذال at the middle of the word like this example. كذب, which means lie. You will notice that the dal letter is attached to the letter before, while it is not attached to the letter that comes after, like the alif and the dal that we have studied. This is how we write dal at the end of the word like this example. لذيذ, which means delicious. Let's see the next letter. ظاء. This is how we write it. ظاء. How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. فتح, كسر, and ضم. ظا, ظي, ظو. This is how we write ضا at the beginning of the word like this example. ظلم, which means injustice. This is how we write ضاء at the middle of the word like this example. عظيم, which means great. This is how we write ضاء at the end of the word like this example. وعظ, which means preaching. So, today we're going to learn two letters with the same point of articulation. تاء and دال. Now let's remember that the letter باء has one dot under, while the تا letter has two dots above. This is how we write it. تا. How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. فتح, كسر, and ضم. تا, تي, تو. This is how we write ta at the beginning of the word like this example. تمر, which means dates. This is how we write ta at the middle of the word like this example. كتب, which means books. This is how we write ta at the end of the word like this example. بنت, which means girl. There's another type of ta which is called tied ta or ta marbuta, and it appears only at the end of words. And if the word is pronounced separately, it will not be pronounced. Like مكتبة. But if the word is added to another word to identify it, it is pronounced. Like مكتبة المدرسة. Let's see the next letter. دال. This is how we write it.
دال.
How to pronounce the letters with short vowels. فتح, كسر, and ضم.
دا. دي. دو.
This is how we write dal at the beginning of the word, like this example. Dalil, which means proof. This is how we write dal at the middle of the word, like this example. Madrasa, which means school. You'll notice here that the dal letter is attached to the letter before, while it's not attached to the letter that follows, like the letter alif that we have studied before. This is how we write dal at the end of the word, like this example. Hadid, which means iron.